What is up? Welcome inside the voice of college football, Arkansas. The Razorbacks are 2-0. Game just ended literally just minutes ago. Big time game against the Arkansas State Red Wolves, a in-state game. First time this game's ever been played, which is crazy in the history of Arkansas football. So, War Memorial, Little Rock was where this game was played, but that really didn't matter. Arkansas wins 56-14. They played really well. I mean, just right off the gate. This is the reaction show. If you were with us on Monday, we talked about the Alabama A&M game, but this is live reaction. This is what do we really think about this game? And I was very impressed, to be honest with you. If you watch that Monday show, I had 38-17 as the preview, like is what I predicted was going to happen. And we gave up less and we scored more. So you love to see that. The defense really gave up 7 points. The special teams gave up 7. They scored that 98-yard kickoff return touchdown to finally get on the board. But our actual defense only gave up 7 points. So that's awesome. I mean, the defense played well. The offense played well, 56 points. No defensive touchdowns or special teams. So that's 56 points put up by the offense, which is huge. Great game. I mean, great game. The offense looked great, and we knew that going into after last week, right? The Alabama A&M game, we played well offensively, but it was Alabama A&M, so there wasn't a lot to expect there. This is still Arkansas State, and if you watch that Monday show, I talked about it. This is a team that doesn't play well defensively. They gave up 24 to Southeast Missouri State the week before, so I figured we would score points. I personally predicted 38. We scored 18 more than that. That's awesome. So I've got the box score next to me. Taylor Green, 240 yards, 4 touchdown passes. He did have 2 interceptions. We'll talk about that in a second. But he also had 151 yards on the ground and a touchdown. I talked about what I thought that offense was going to look like going into this game in terms of like schematically and what we were going to prioritize. And I thought we prioritized the run game. That's what I expected. 321 rushing yards of the team, 200 plus yard rushers. I just said Taylor Green with 151, but Mike Washington Jr. also had 116. Russell 25, Hill 24, Jackson had a carry, but we had 4 touchdowns as well. 321 rushing yards on under 30 attempts. So what does that mean? That means more than 10 yards a carry. That's 11.1 yards per carry, which is huge. A lot of design runs. So Green had 150 yards. A lot of that was designed, which is awesome to see. He had some big runs as long as for 64 yards. And he scored a touchdown on the ground as well. So that was really big. I thought we were going to run the football as well, especially after what we did in the first game. That first game, we passed the football a lot. So seeing that run game was really impressive. I'm glad that we were able to do that. We also had 309 yards passing. KJ came in at the very end. He had 70 yards of that. And like I said, Green had 239 and 2 picks. Those picks were not great. That first one to the middle linebacker, right after we get an interception and he throws it back, that's just one of those. He knows that. He knows he can't have that play. Fifth-year guy, he knows that we can't be doing that, especially right after your defense works so hard to grab a turnover. You can't be throwing that to the opposing team. And then in another later play, that Avante Dickerson for Arkansas State picks it off. 2 boneheaded plays on Green's part, but let's not knock on it too much. I mean, almost 400 total all-purpose yards and 5 touchdowns. The guy played a heck of a game. We'll continue on the offensive side for Arkansas. Some of the pass catchers. This was awesome. So I talked about the prioritization of the run game. I thought that was going to be big. But for the pass catchers, the tight end position. I mean, I'm looking at it right now. 2 of our top 5 receivers in yards were tight ends. Rohan Jones was our leading receiver, a tight end, and he also had a touchdown pass. He had a 41-yard touchdown from Taylor Green. I'm glad we got them involved because it was really the receivers, and that's awesome. Omega Blake, C.J. Brown last week, Cam Shanks a little bit, Raylan Sharp. There were so many guys, right? Jalen Brown, and they played well, but it was really awesome and encouraging to see those tight ends really step up. And KJ Jackson threw a couple balls to some of them, so he was really leaning on them as well. But the tight end position really did well. The offensive line looked really good. I believe Green. I don't know if he got sacked at all in this game. No, Arkansas State had 0 sacks. So the offense looked good, especially the line. So it's nice to see after 2 weeks, and obviously Alabama A&M and Arkansas State. That's not 2 tough opponents. But to have your offense score 52 in week 1 and 56 in week 2, over 100 points in those 2 games. Taylor Green's thrown 10 touchdown passes now through 2 games. We're going to see a different. Obviously, we're not going to be scoring 50 points on Ole Miss, but this offense, man, it's so encouraging to see these guys play so well. So on the Monday show, we recapped the game before. So we recapped Alabama A&M. I kind of gave a grade of what I thought offensively and defensively, and here, and we're going to do that this upcoming Monday for this game. This won't be the only time we talk about this game. Um, but I do want to just give some key players. We'll give just like a best offensive player. We'll do it from a player perspective and not a grade. So I talked about on the Monday show Mike Washington Jr. and Taylor Green. No surprise, two really good players on our team. Well, those were the guys to watch for. Clearly, those were the guys to watch for. The two leading rushers on our team. Taylor Green had 4 touchdown passes. But ultimately, in this game, I've got to go to Taylor Green as the offensive player of the game. Uh, 239 on the passing yards, 151 rushing. Quick math, I think it's 390, 5 touchdowns. He did have those two turnovers, which is tough, but great game from him. He's going to be the offensive player of the game. Let's switch it over to the defensive side, which was probably more encouraging, which is crazy to say given the fact that we scored 56 points. But like I said, 7 points actually given up by our defense. Taylor Green, KJ Jackson, neither of them got sacked. We sacked Arkansas State 4 times, and we had 10 tackles for loss, which is huge. Let's start with the defensive line. Quincy Rhodes Jr. Man, so encouraging what he was able to do. 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss. He's just huge, and he had a great game. Philip Lee had a good game as well. The other DN, he's really taken it over, I believe, for Justice Boone. Boone and him have been switching off a lot, but to see Lee play so well was really encouraging. And then in the interior, Cameron Ball is probably still our best defensive player. Uh, Ian Jeffrard got a little bit in on it. He had a 1.5 tackles for loss. That mammoth man, 370 pounds. Danny Saley, I remember getting in there a little bit. So just really encouraging to see those guys get after the passer. Jalen Rayner was a guy that Pittman talked about was going to be tough to defend. He's not necessarily a like super dual threat guy in terms of he's going to have like 1,000 yards rushing or something in a season, but he's a guy that's very mobile and he's just so athletic. Watching that game, like you could just tell he can get out of plays. He's there one moment and then in a different place the next. And so for us to contain him as well as we did, he made a couple plays, but like I mean, they scored 14 points. So great on the defensive line there. And then the linebacking position. I'm actually going to come back to the linebacker position. Let's go to the defensive back position. Julian Neal, 11 tackles. That's as a corner, like I don't know if that's always a good thing, but he did have 11 tackles. He was our leading tackler amongst the secondary players. Caleb Wooden had 5 tackles. He's slowly becoming my new favorite player in the defensive back room. Uh, Jordan Young, I've just not liked what I've seen from Jordan Young and Jaheim Singletary both. Singletary had a couple of penalties that were just boneheaded plays, and I was questioning why he was not going to be a starting defensive back opposite Kenai Walker. Now I see why. Not a great game from him. And same for Jordan Young. Like Caleb Wooden's the guy I'm liking in the nickel a lot right now. And then Kenai Walker, who had a tackle for loss and 3 pass deflections. Julian Neal had 2, and he also had that interception that was like anybody could have caught that. So that doesn't really matter as much. But those defensive backs, man, Kenai Walker and Julian Neal played phenomenally on the outside. So that was really encouraging to see. Like I said, Wooden in the nickel. And then Larry Worth, Miguel Mitchell, just solid tacklers. Nothing crazy in coverage. I put Worth as one of the guys to watch for in this game. He had a half tackle for loss. Nothing crazy. Didn't necessarily have as big of a game as I thought he would, but he still played well. Now let's go back to the linebacker room. This was probably the most encouraging group. Evidently, Pittman really called them out and was really looking for them to step up in this game. And they did. Like Steven Dix Jr., 10 tackles. That's big. But Xavier Sorey Jr., man, like what a game. A awesome interception. Totally read Rainer's eyes. It just picked it off so easily. I mean, a great play. Great textbook play right there by Sorey. 15 tackles, half sack, 2 tackles for loss. I mean, he filled up the box score, which is hard to do as a defensive player. So just a phenomenal game from him. I really like seeing him play football, man. Him and Campbell are really competing for the 2 best players on this Arkansas defense, and it's going to be really exciting to see him play against this Ole Miss team coming up next week. But just a phenomenal game, and he's ultimately going to be the guy I'm going to give the defensive player of the game to. An interception, crucial. 2 tackles for loss, leading tackler, the captain, one of the captains on the defense. Like he just truly had a really great game against Arkansas State. He kept Rayner in contain. He was able to pick him off. Just a great game from Story. So I was very encouraged to see him do it well. We could talk about the special teams quick and easy. Devin Bale had a phenomenal punt on the one punt that he had. Really turned the field on that one. So we'll leave the special teams talk to just that. Starsik made all of its extra points. So we'll talk a little bit about Arkansas State just to reference our players. Rayner had 2 interceptions. Neal and Sorey got the best of him. Rayner was their leading rusher. They had 153 rushing yards. They did it with about 7 or 8 different dudes. 153 kind of sounds like a lot ish when it's the team like against you, like we're giving up 153, but that's really good. And 132 against the pass, like that's under 300 yards of total offense. That's 283 or 285 yards. Like that's a really good day. And that's the one spot where if I had to say I was really wrong on something, I mean, I thought we'd score 18 less points, so I clearly didn't have faith in our offense. But on our defense, man, 7 points truly against the defense, 14 total. I thought we'd give up 17. I thought we'd really lock in on the second half, but we were really locked in the entire game. So like that's just really encouraging to see. They almost scored at the end. Who cares? It's garbage time. But 14 points, under 300 yards against a team that really like hangs their hat on their offense, right? That's Arkansas State. We talked about it on Monday. Like they're not going to be a team that was going to give up. They're going to give up a lot of points, but on the offensive side, to have laid an egg as much as they did and only score 14 and 7 points on their true offensive possessions, that's very encouraging. And we made some plays defensively. Like it wasn't just contain and protect defense. Like we were able to cause some turnovers. We were able to get 4 sacks and 10 tackles for loss. Like that's just a very good game. So, like I said, Taylor Green, offensive player of the game. Xavier Sorey, defensive player of the game. There's not even a lot to talk about in this game. Like it's just one of those that we're gonna have to see it to believe it. Like we've played 2 very good football games and we're 2-0, but we've also played 2 not very good football teams. And this upcoming week, and that's where I'll spend a little bit of time too. And we're going to talk more about this on Monday. But just my instant reaction too is how is this team going to look against Ole Miss? Right, Ole Miss was one of the few teams in the SEC playing a real opponent this week. And they were able to win 30-23. I know Simmons, I believe, got hurt in that game. It was towards the end of the game. Um, but we're going to be going into Ole Miss, right? We're going to be playing in Oxford. They were able to beat Kentucky and Kentucky, but a lot of people would agree that Kentucky's one of the 3, 4 bottom teams in the SEC. Calzada, I believe, got hurt towards the end of that game as well. But Kentucky kept it really close. And Ole Miss is one of those teams. If you had to talk about, if you're an Ole Miss fan and you're looking at 2 or 3 teams in the SEC that really have your number, these two, us and Kentucky, are 2 of those teams. So to see them play well against Ole Miss is encouraging because I think we could do the same. And I think we're a more talented team than Kentucky. I think Taylor Green's going to really contest against this Ole Miss defense. And let's be honest, there's going to be a really big revenge factor, twofold. One, the fact that we got embarrassed at home last year. And a lot of those players on the offensive side, at the very least, are back. Not a lot of defensive players. And I talked about this. If you check out that first video we posted about the projection and what I thought we were going to do this year, I projected us to be 6-6. And I actually have us losing this game upcoming, to be totally honest with you. I don't think I'm going to necessarily bet that. Going in on Monday, when I give my official prediction for the week, I'm probably going to have us beating the Ole Miss Rebels. But one thing I mentioned was a lot of these defenders, outside of Sorey and Ball and a couple other guys, but they weren't on this defense last year, right? A lot of the defensive backs are gone. Landon Jackson is gone. A lot of these players that really had to suffer through that loss, that embarrassed, I mean, 60 plus points put up by Ole Miss. Like it was an embarrassing football game. Those guys aren't there. So I really hope Xavier and Sorey, Cam Ball, these guys can really motivate this defense to be like this. I know y'all weren't here last year, but this is what happened to us, and that's not going to happen again. I don't care where the football game's at. So that's one part of it. But the second part of it is the fact that how many dudes went over there, right? Luke has went over there. Patrick Kutas, both on the offensive side of the football, and then Jalen Braxton on the defensive side of the football. Like 3 of our dudes left Ole Miss to go, or left Arkansas to go play for Ole Miss. So that's going to be encouraging as well. Like there's part of them, I'm sure, that are going to want that same revenge factor, right? Braxton didn't play too much for us, Kutas, whatever, as is even healthy. So I get that, but it as a football team and like as dudes who are real leaders, I think on this football team, like Braxton was probably our best corner going into last year. He didn't play a lot because of injury and because he decided to sit out and all the stuff, but he was probably our best defensive back. And then on the offensive side of the football, Luke Has was our best pass catcher when he was healthy. Like, I mean, and that's even a team with has guys played in the NFL this year. So like he was when healthy, our best pass catcher. Kutas was a starting offensive lineman. So like these are real dudes on our team that neglected to come back to us and decided to go to Ole Miss to catch a bag. So I'm excited to see us play against them. Like I said, I picked us to lose when I was going through the rundown of the season and the schedule. But this game, I'm going to have a hard time picking against us. I'm going to do some more tape evaluation and just kind of look into how Ole Miss has played in their first 2 games. I know they beat Kentucky, and I don't remember who they beat in week 1, but it was a pretty cheeks opponent, if I remember correctly. So They're 2-0. We're 2-0. Ole Miss, I'm looking at it right now. They're 20th in the nation. I don't think we will be ranked, but I know, hey, Florida lost, so we'll see if what comes of all of that, and see if there's any shot that we get at least some votes in the AP poll with how well we played. But let's just talk about one more thing, and then we'll get out of here. Just relish in the 2-0, and look towards next weekend, and catch us on Monday with the Arkansas Live show. But one last thing, I'm just going to talk about quickly what this means in the grand scheme of the SEC. So I'm just going to run through a couple of scores. Georgia wins in a close game against Austin Peay, or closer than expected. Texas rolls San Jose State. Texas A&M beats Utah State. Ole Miss beats Kentucky, and Tennessee beats Eastern Tennessee State. 72 points, crazy. Uh, but South Florida beats Florida at Florida, which is crazy. In that game, a last-second field goal at like the 1 yard line. So that's nuts. Florida fans got to be dying right now. Missouri beats Kansas. That's a game where I look at that, and we don't play until the very end of the season. But Bo Pribula looks like a good player. Vanderbilt's losing right now to Virginia Tech. LSU's playing in a semi-close game to Louisiana Tech. Mississippi State's up 17-0 on Arizona State. So what that game means for us when we play them. OU's up on Michigan, and Auburn is up on Ball State. So a lot of games. Alabama's beating ULM as well, 28-0. But a lot of games coming up this week. We're really, I feel like, into the thick of things now as we go into week 3. Uh, and we have a really competitive game coming up against Ole Miss. So I'm excited to see that. But as any Arkansas fan should be right now, you should be optimistic. 2-0, 50-plus points in both games. The defense really only gave up a touchdown in each, which is really encouraging. So I like what I've seen from this team. The defense was maybe a little nerve-wracking in the first game, really just because we gave up such a effortless drive to Alabama A&M, but we really locked in the rest of the game. And then against Arkansas State, the defense looks live, man. I'm excited to see these guys on the defensive line, I think the most, go up against real competition, because that's the one spot where I'm just like, I want to see that carry over against real offensive linemen and not guys from Alabama A&M and Arkansas State. But on the offensive side, I would say the same thing with just creating separation at the receiver position. If you watch Green, he's throwing a lot of these underneath routes to guys like C.J. Brown and Raylan Sharp and Jalen Brown. And those plays are going to be semi there against teams like Ole Miss, but it's the plays downfield, right? The plays where we're going to be up, like just push in the middle of the field, looking for post routes, looking for the deep balls on the sideline. Those plays where are we going to create enough separation to catch on some of those SEC caliber defensive backs? So that's what I'm really excited to see. Just a plug for the show. If y'all are looking for any sort of way to support the show, I'm just going to throw this out here. VOCFB, that's the voice of college football.com/shop. Once you go there, there's going to be a drop down for teams. Arkansas is going to be on there. Feel free to contribute and just help out the show. So that's VOCFB.com/shop. Just check that out. They got merch for other teams too if you're somehow interested in other teams, which is heresy. So just buy Arkansas merch. But just check that out, vocfb.com/shop. But if you want to check us out going further, Monday night, it says it on the ticker, we're going 5:30s, but this upcoming Monday, it's probably going to be at 4:30. So it's 5:30 Eastern, but 4:30 Central Time. I got to do it a little early. But we're going to be playing Ole Miss this weekend, so you've got to check it out. There's going to be a little bit of recap with the Arkansas State, but because we did this live show post-game, there's not going to be as much as there was last week talking about Alabama A&M. But we'll give a grade for the offense, give a grade for the defense, just kind of recap this game. But it's going to be pretty much all focused on Ole Miss and if we can win that football game. So feel free to support the show. Like I said, vocfb.com/shop. But we'll see you Monday at 4:30.